Happy New Year and welcome to Nutshell, a small dose of geek and nerd news and commentary. I am Tim. Thank you for watching and being part of the channel and all the cool things that we're doing here on I Love Nerd Life. This is going to be a really weird one to end the old year and start the new year, but hopefully, it all will work itself out. So congratulations for making it this far. We're going to talk again in the new year, but let's go ahead and jump into what we're talking about right now. So it's incredibly sad to say that MF Doom has passed at the age of 49. So this has been reported in just about every outlet you could think of: Rolling Stone, Complex. Anywhere that they're talking about music. This man right here, who is responsible for some of the most amazing music you will ever hear in your life, passed. The strange thing about this story, though, is that he passed around Halloween, but we're now just learning about it. And looking at it from a bigger point of view, well, that doesn't seem too far off the bat, because MF Doom, who some of us still don't know who his true identity is, this would be on par to him in keeping to a very close-knit group of people, and also having only a certain amount of people know about his passing before it made it out to be in public. This really saddens me as not just a producer or a radio personality or even a host, co-host of a very cool nerd-based show. Just as someone in the geek nerd community space, MF Doom was responsible for one of the most meaningful albums that I've ever listened to, and that's Danger Doom. If you have not heard Danger Doom, this is a quintessential hip-hop album, but it's also mixing a lot of the pop culture stuff, things from Cartoon Network, assets from them, and that was my major introduction into the person, the myth, the man, the legend, MF Doom. After that, it was catalog after catalog. You just start to listen and hear the sample-based inspiration of hip-hop in what he would produce. And for me, I'm so much of a fan, I have my own mask. And so I'm saddened by the news that broke today about Doom. And I send a ton of love and appreciation to his family and all of his collaborators, the people that have had the opportunity to meet and work with him, but also the ones that got to know him as a person, because, yeah, even beyond music, this is still a life. And so I hope that you, as part of the geek nerd community, also raises a glass when it comes time to tip over into 2021, to also take a little sip for MF Doom. I know I will be doing that as soon as it hits midnight. Yeah, I'm kind of taken by this. But as with many artists in hip hop, when they leave that legacy of music behind, they will not be forgotten, and MF Doom won't be forgotten, at least for me, especially his contribution to Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, and many hours in my car. Talking about time well spent, Wonder Woman. So, if you've been hiding under a rock, which I'm almost certain you haven't, Wonder Woman 1984 dropped on Christmas Day, went to the theaters and did the online streaming thing, and was probably the prime example of how this is going to be done moving forward in the movie industry. This was a shock for me because I'm a little weary about the whole deal of having theater release movies streaming at the same time as theatrical releases. It's new, and with everything happening with the pandemic, COVID-19, a lot of our viewing habits have changed. Our streaming habits have changed. Our expectation of what is going to be entertainment has changed. And this was the experiment that I believe Hollywood has been looking for. Sure, we know that on HBO Max, There's this strong relationship between DC Comics and HBO and Warner Brothers to have content on this one platform, which I have to say, out of all of the streaming possibilities, this is the one that I like the most. Announcing that they're going to do theatrical releases simultaneously with streaming releases, Hollywood has to have their eyes completely wide open. And we're looking at what, 36.1 million, for sales for a movie during a pandemic, one that has mixed reviews. This is a statement when it comes to entertainment. And if you are a fan of DC product, this is going to be one of those movies where you're going to have that is it good, is it bad moment. But when you're looking at it at the bigger picture for what's going to come out for Marvel, what's going to come out for Image, because I mean they're going to do Invincible on streaming. I believe Amazon Prime. These these are the test to see if this is something that can move us into the next realm of entertainment, where we're not looking at going into a theater for a release, but we're just waiting for it to hit 12 midnight in our local area, and then we just turn on our streaming device of choice and watch whatever it is that's on there. Wonder Woman has helped to usher us into that new phase of entertainment. And I'm really intrigued by your opinions as far as if this was a good movie or not, and if this was good for the industry. So in the comments below, make sure that you let me know and let us know, so that way we could talk about it on I Love Nerd Life. This is, in my opinion, the change that we are looking for that we didn't ask for. Kind of the Batman thing, and I'm excited for it. I believe that as more movies, more television shows, more content is produced and brought to us simultaneously and given us a choice, everybody wins. The theaters win because they start to get people to come back into the theaters. The industry itself wins because now they have more options to show their work. And the consumer wins because if you feel safe, you have the big screen. If you feel safer at home, you have the small screen. Or if you're really, really small, we're talking about what, a phone or a tablet. But this is a win-win-win situation. And if you disagree with me, let me know, because I would love to hear your opinions as to if this was good, bad, or meh. But in that, Wonder Woman was not the only movie that made it into streaming. We also have Soul. Take that any way you want. Soul, whew, that was a emotional roller coaster of a movie, just like Inside Out. Disney Pixar, they did it again, smashed it. This, in my view, was a movie I wasn't prepared for and knew what I was going to get into once I started watching it. And by the time I was done, I was emotionally spent, and I enjoyed every bit of the storytelling. Soul is a beautiful movie that brings about a subject matter that most of us don't talk about, which isn't really even the life and death part of it, but jazz. When you think of a lot of the old cartoons, the Tom and Jerry's, Warner Brothers, things like that, they used a lot of classical music, a lot of jazz, a lot of bebop. And these were the notes that a lot of us who have become producers or even have come into entertainment have become more accustomed to as far as musical preferences, especially when it comes to animation and all that. And whenever there's a spotlight for an American-made music style, i.e., jazz, we don't see many movies showing us the process. And while this was a secondary note in this movie, this is one that I think that we all could take something from as being a part of this particular community. There's a ton of great music that has not been heard because contemporarily, these are not the same type. This is not the same style of music that would be played in most of the shows that we're watching today. But soul gave us this this feel, and even if you were to take out the emotional parts of it and just listen to the music, that is the highlight for me. And I think anyone who appreciates good quality soundtracks, this is a great movie for that. Taking all of that aside, just the movie on its own, this was a great movie for Christmas. It was one of those where you got to sit with either yourself or someone that you cared about and was sucked into an amazing story, one that really got you thinking about your roles and responsibilities in this world and what drives you. Being that this is on a Christmas day where you're competing against Wonder Woman, which actually had similar themes if you look at both of them. Uh, this was just a very charming, very cerebral, as the headline suggests, methodical movie. One that is now my number two favorite movie of Pixar, right behind Up. I believe Up is my number one. Is that my number one? I can't remember. But I would love to know where this ranks as far as Disney Pixar movies for you, because you may be a Toy Story fan, and nothing's going to dethrone Toy Story. But this was different, and this was cool and unique, and I loved every minute of it. I suggest, if you haven't watched it, while it's still on streaming, make sure you do. It's a very, very good ride. Which takes us to the last thing we're going to talk about now, which is actually how these downloads have increased for both Disney and HBO. Again, this is the future. It's weird to think that streaming has moved so far so fast that theatrical releases is just as common, per se, as streaming events. We know that uh, on this particular day, when everyone's home, well, most people are home, you need something to do. And if you're not watching basketball, you probably were watching movies. These two movies, just, it was a treat. It felt like it was an event, and it had to happen that day. I applaud Disney, and I applaud HBO, because they're understanding what the people want. And now I can see a Netflix or a Hulu or an Amazon Prime starting to do more releases similar to this. I mean, we still have Coming to America 2 happening pretty soon, which is going to be a thing. But as far as Disney and HBO is concerned, they deserve a ton of credit for being visible during a time when many of us have experienced a lot of darkness. And I just love how this is going. Um, I would be interested to know for yourself, would you support more movies going straight to streaming, or having a streaming and theatrical release simultaneously? And if so, what movie would that be? Um, I I want to see, to be honest, I want to see, maybe, just because of all the lore about it, I'd like to see what they would do with Mission Impossible, and probably any other Star Wars movie that comes out in the future. That would be really interesting too. But let us know in the comments, which movies would you like to see have a streaming and theatrical release, because that will not just be great conversation, but also it'll kind of let us know what we should look out for. Um, who knows? We're in a really, really awesome time, but yeah, this was a strange happening that I think all of us are going to win with. So with that, keeping it short and sweet, because hey, it is New Year's Eve. and we have some celebrating that we got to do. So with that, I'm Tim. Thank you for watching the second Nutshell. We're going to be doing more of this. Ilno is going to be producing some more content. Check out our main show, I Love Nerd Life, Ilnil. Any of the links, click on them, subscribe, alert button, all that stuff that we say, so that way you'll get notified when something new comes up. And with that, thank you for watching Nutshell. I'm Tim, and do life in doses.